So we've been talking about prospecting a lot lately, but like eating the sandwich, I think really has to define on, like, first you got to step back and go, okay, what's the middle? Like, what's the most salespeople will find any reason to do something other than what they actually have to do, right? These people that go to these BNI and LaTip groups and everything else, they network. All of that is really just to keep them from having to do the real work of prospecting. So we've been talking about prospecting a lot lately, but like eating the sandwich, I think really has to define on, like, first you got to step back and go, okay, what's the middle? Like, what's the And for salespeople, for professionals, growing your business is predicated on a lot of unspectacular work, right? You've got to prospect, and it's one of the most demoralizing, difficult, challenging, frustrating. And there's all this gamesmanship, right? You can kind of think of the payoff and think of the reward and think of what you get to do as a byproduct, and this is the work that you got to do in order to get there, right? I talk about all the unspectacular work you have to get spectacular results. And ultimately, like, for me, and probably for most people that are consuming this content, the difference between eating the sandwich or not is actually putting it on the calendar. Like, getting it in the calendar. Like, if it's not on the calendar, I don't do it. Because you'll find any other number of different things that'll make you feel busy, but they actually won't get you results. So when you go to that networking session, really it's just that keeps you from, and I'm not saying networking's bad, but it keeps you from, like, if that's what your modality is, if you're saying, you know what, I'm gonna spend 2 hours today networking, right? Is that because you don't want to spend 2 hours telemarketing? Is that because you don't want to spend 2 hours knocking on doors? Is that because you want to spend more, and people, whether it's, crafting emails or building proposals or any of that other stuff that makes you feel busy that doesn't get results, like, that's like the bread. Like, you got to get the done, right? We've talked about this in the past of, shoveling the dealing with the hard part of the work. But, I find that if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't get done. That's all there is to it. And so be cognizant, like, how much result do you want? And then work backwards. Like, when you know your number, when you know how much work you have to do and what you want to achieve, and it's very easy to work backwards. And the other thing I'm going to tell you is, like, check the tech. Turn off all your technology, right? Turn off your computer, CRM systems. People will say, oh, well, I had to put all the information in detail in the CRMs. That needs to be a different activity on your calendar. And I'm not saying it's not important to take the notes and to keep the notes and all that other kind of stuff, but the reality is that we will fill our time when we should be focused on prospecting with filling notes out on a piece of paper. And before we know it, in an hour's time, we get 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 or 12 calls. That's not the That's not what you need to do to be successful. It's a small portion of it. You need 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 contacts each and every day. And so for me, turn off the computer, turn off the technology, turn off the phone, take notes on a piece of paper, and then later on in the day, go back and put those notes into a computer at some other time when you've earmarked it, right? And listen, you gotta get the right done, right? Eat the sandwich.